Hi everyone. Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right, so if you can actually hear me, can you just do me a favor? Can you just help me by commenting, 555 if you can actually hear me. Just do me a favor, just help me to go to the comments below and then type in 555, so that I know that you are able to hear me loud and clear. Okay, fantastic. Yep, I saw your reply. I saw Jimmy, I saw Eileen as well. So thank you so much for your reply and your response. So we will be starting in about 5 minutes time. Okay, we will be starting at about 8:05 sharp. So in the meantime, let's help to get more people to actually join in, ask your friends to actually join in, because today this company is really unique, and I think it has really quite a good potential as well. So do share with your friends as well, and do invite your friends to also join us, for this 45 minutes to 1 hour sharing on this Singapore company called AEM. Right. Okay, right now I see that we have about 10 of you on Facebook. All right, so we will be starting in about 2 more minutes. At 8:05 we will actually get started. So again, for those of you who are here, okay, thanks for joining us tonight. And then I'm really excited to share with you this company. Might not be very popular, but I can assure you that this company is the story of this company is like a roller coaster, right? All right, and of course, right now I think it's like a rocket launcher. So I think that is why we are looking into this company, and then later we will decide whether is this going to be a buy, BUY, or is this going to be a buy, BYE. So in the meantime, do help us to share with your friends and get your friends to also come and join us as well. Okay, I see quite a number of familiar names. Okay, Mei Ling, Min Si, Samuel, Min, Edwin, next. Okay, thanks for joining. Right, we have 17 people right now live on Facebook, and we will be starting in 1 minute time. For those of you who just joined in, okay, just help me to comment 555 if you can actually hear me loud and clear. Help me to comment 555. And at the same time, okay, please help us to, smash the like button as well as the love button, so that more people can actually be able to see this video. All right, Jonathan is here as well. Jonathan, good to see you. Thanks for supporting our Buy or Buy series as well. Hello, Joanna. Alright, so we will be starting very soon. Okay, so yep. do stand by. Okay, we will be starting really soon for this company. Yeah, so this company really interesting. You can see that the share price, 5 years ago it was 15 cents. This is a Singapore company. Yeah, so 5 years ago it is 15 cents, and right now, okay, it's actually 350. In fact, it is not 310. It is actually 350. I think for the past few days it has also went up pretty much as well. So what is the growth driver for this company? Why is this company growing so much? And moving forward, can this company grow to $4, $5? All right, let's see. Later on we will actually discuss that. Hey, CS is here also. Okay, and I think we are ready to get started. Just stop the music. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so first of all, thanks everyone for joining us for our buy or buy series tonight. Okay, on a Friday evening, and I just realized that this is a public holiday, so apologize for setting it on a public holiday. Yeah, but nonetheless, okay, for those of you who are here with me, okay, good to see all of you. And for those of you who actually, can't make it or what, is totally okay, because this will also be on our Facebook, Ultimate Investing. You can actually watch it, subsequently as well. Okay, so next, of course, before I get started, I think it is very important for me to always put up this disclaimer. Okay, the purpose of this sharing is purely for educational purpose. All right, so, if you want to invest in this particular company, please do your own due diligence. I think, investment definitely do come with certain risks. So make sure that you understand what you are buying, and of course, understand your risk profile before you jump in as well. So a quick background, okay, for those of you who have not joined in before, this is how we are going to go through this company today. We're going to look at the background, industry, the growth comparison, the risk, opportunity, and last but not least, we're going to look at some of the numbers of this particular business, by looking at the financial fitness. So starting with the first one, okay, let's look at the background of this particular business. Okay, so I just want to share a little bit of story about this company. So what happened is that, right, we all can see that this company right now, they are actually doing extremely well. Okay, I think the market capitalization for this company is about $800 million. As a Singapore company, I think it has done pretty well. But on actually back in 2010, this particular company was on SGX watch list. Okay, when you're on SGX watch list, it means that your company is not performing that well. So what happened is that the company was actually generating cash, but unfortunately it was saddled with accounting losses. So it was actually not making profit. So what happened is that, right, this particular guy, Lok Wai San, okay, he is right now the executive chairman of AEM. He actually came in as an investor because he actually runs an equity fund. And then he actually jumped into the company as an investor in 2011. And what happened is that I think he was actually controlling quite a big stake in it. So he decided to jump in and actually kind of control the business. So what happened is that, one of the first thing that he did was actually to cut off a business unit that was actually not profitable. And he actually focused, on building the business on the engineering capabilities, as well as spending quite a significant amount on R&D, which is research and development. So this particular guy, he actually came from a tech background. He was actually in the Silicon Valley for quite a number of years. So he did have certain experience, in the United States as well before joining into Singapore. So a quick background about this company is that AEM Holding is currently the global leader offering what? Application-specific intelligence system tests and handling solution for semiconductor and electronic companies. So the two main thing that they're focused on, the two companies that they are focusing on, is actually the semiconductor market as well as electronics companies. And what are some of the market that they are targeting is actually advanced computing, 5G, and of course the artificial intelligence market. So this is of course a very quick overview of some of the target market that they are actually looking into, things like IoT, AI, cloud, data center, electric vehicles, and of course with 5G. Okay, because why? This company deals a lot with the semiconductor industry. All right, with the whole system as well as the setup. So, and of course we know right now that the main bulk of the usage of semiconductor is actually used in things like AI, things like, for example, your handphone, your laptop, all the chips, even in the electric vehicles. Nowadays cars are made up not so much of the engine, but rather it's made up a lot of chips as well. And of course, with the development of 5G, I think to set up all the centers to actually broadcast uh, the data. So there's a lot of all these semiconductor, the chips that is actually being used. And that is where this company actually came into the picture. And so I think we all also can see that there is currently a rise in the semiconductor industry. So a lot of companies, like for example, Lam Research, TSM, you can see that their share price is actually at an all-new high. And as a result of it, I think AEM also do benefit from this particular rise in the semiconductor industry. Okay, moving on. So we can see that although this is a Singapore company, but you can see that where the actually based on is pretty much everywhere. So they do have like a office in US, they have office in France, in Finland, in China, Suzhou. Okay, then one of their main factory is in Malaysia, Penang, and Singapore basically is just like their HQ. Okay, so this is a Singapore listed company. However, you can see that the business unit are pretty much in many different parts of the world. So in total, okay, they actually have 550 employees. I would say that for a company size of 800 over million, it is not a lot of employees. Okay, so in terms of the business, I would say it is pretty lean. So they have actually 240 engineers in R&D, production engineering, and field service engineering. So they do specialize a lot in the engineering field as well as in research and development. So you can see that in terms of the business driver, okay, they actually focus a lot on advanced manufacturing solutions. And of course, for the 5G end market, as well as they actually work with long-term strategic partnership as well. So last year, in fact, for the full year of 2019, okay, one of their key customer introduced a new product, okay, based on this advanced semiconductor nodes. And because of this key customer, the sales momentum for one of their units actually went up significantly. Okay, so much so that, right, they actually had to revise their revenue guidance 3 times. So later I will actually introduce this particular key customer. Yeah, but basically this key customer is really a very big customer for this particular company. So much so that later on I will also share that the whole outlook of this particular company kind of depends also on the key customer. And so because last year, this key customer actually had a huge order that came in. So the group revenue, you can see, went up almost 23%, and the net profit for this particular company went up 50% last year. Jimmy is asking who is the key customer. Later, I will actually share with you who is the key customer. But it's a very, very big player. So in terms of the business segment, right, they actually focus on, these are the 4 mains one. So what I will do is very quickly, I will just run through the 4 of them. But later on, I will also share with you that what we want to focus on is actually the first one, which is the equipment system and solution. Right, so this is of course a overall view of some of the product that this company is actually producing. So you can see that it's pretty technical. So for those of you, or for those of us who are not in this particular area, basically it looks like alien. So including myself, when I look at all this, it's alien. But for people who are working in the semiconductor industry, probably you will start to realize that actually some of these brands you will probably be familiar. You also see them in the fab as well. So starting with the first one, which is the equipment system solution, ESS. Okay, what AEM do actually is they provide customized system solution, and you can see that they actually can cater to both mass volume manufacturer, that means manufacturer that produce in huge amount. They also can cater to smaller companies, that is focusing a lot on the new technology. So they can cater to both sides. So it's a lot of customization for the semiconductor industry. And of course, they handle things like high density and modular test handlers, wafer handling system, and hotspot test handlers. So if you don't understand, totally fine. But you can go and Google and check it out. But what is important is the orange highlighted. So the system that they have are actually deployed globally at world-class semiconductor solar cells and storage media manufacturing facilities. So their customers are actually the big players out there, right? And you can see that this particular business segment, okay, based on last year, it actually went up 22.3% from 251 million all the way to 307.9 million. Right, then next we move on to the next business segment, which is the micro electromechanical system, MEMS in short. So this particular business segment was actually created, after AEM acquired this company called A4 Oil in 2018. So this company is actually a Finnish-based test solution provider, right? So yeah, you can see that at the bottom, what they do is they basically do a lot of, they are actually doing a lot of sensors and special semiconductor manufacture in the automotive, industrial, and consumer electronics segment. So I think one of the reasons why AEM acquired them, okay, partly because of the technology. Another reason I would say is because of their customer base as well. Okay, because of their customer base as well, right? And you can see that this is also not so high growth, okay, but it is still growing as well. So this particular business segment from 6.9, it went up to 7.4 million, 6.9% growth. And next one, we look at this particular business unit called SLTI. Okay, so SLTI business unit again was established only in 2018 to bridge the gap between actual user failure detection and standard ATE coverage. Again, don't have to understand, but in short, okay, you can see that this business unit again was established because of acquisition. And in 2020, they actually acquired another company called Miltest, okay, a French company, again to add on to this particular business unit. So you can see that this company, AEM, they actually do a lot of merger, a lot of acquisition to actually bring in more different kind of capabilities, as well as engineering and customers into the business as well. And this is actually something that is actually growing quite fast as well. Okay, you can see it is 91.4% growth. However, we do want to take note that although the growth percentage is very high, but the revenue is actually from 2.6 million to 4.9 million. Okay, remember just now when we talk about the first one, ESS, the revenue we are talking about is 300 over million. So this is a high growth business unit. However, it is just a small part of the AEM business overall. Okay, this is just a small part. And of course, the last one, which is again a test and management solution business unit. So this was again acquired because, formed because they acquired this company called Inspirin in 2017. So this business unit, basically they focus more on the testing, okay, things like testing of cables lah, Ethernet and fiber cables. So you can see at the bottom, they actually created this portable tester to test multi-node fiber cables, which support 5G infrastructure rollout. So all these new 5G companies, when they want to test their fiber cable, how efficient, etc., then they have to buy this portable tester from this particular, from AEM. So if I'm not wrong, one of their customers in terms of this area is Huawei. Huawei is actually one of their customers for this particular business unit. But again, we also want to take note, you can see that this is a very, very, very high growth area. However, the revenue is also very small, from 0.97 million, which is 970,000, to 2.9 million. Yeah, but definitely we can see that there are more growth coming from this area as well. But from a whole overall business as a whole, okay, what we want to focus is actually more on the ESS, because this particular business segment alone contribute 95.3% of the group total revenue. All right. And I can also share with you that up to now, right, okay, although 95.3% of the whole group total revenue came from this particular business unit, more than 90% of the whole business came from one customer. Okay, so pretty much why this particular business segment is doing so well, also because of this particular customer, which later on I will share with you. So you have to stay on if you want to know who is this key customer. Next up, I want to share with you some of the peer comparison of this, the competitor of this particular company. So this is actually extracted from the report. Okay, they actually mentioned that AEM, they actually mentioned that they have 4 main competitors, namely Teradin, Kohu, Advertest, Corp, and Chroma. And you can see they are all listed company. But what is good about the AEM is that the for stock average a 66% total return in SGD. Okay, however, AEM has a 132% gain. Okay, so although they are competitor, but we can see that AEM is growing much faster. It's growing almost double of the competitor. So we can see that AEM, right, is something like the small boy lah. Okay, so AEM is actually facing all the big giant in the market. As you can see, these four companies, Teradin, Kohu, Evertest, and Chroma, in terms of the company size, they are definitely much larger than AEM. All right. So yeah, lor. Is actually in a marketplace that is fighting with all these big giants. So Teradin and Kohu is a US listed company. Then of course for Evertest is actually a Japan company, if I'm not wrong, and it is also listed in Japan. And then for Chroma, okay, Chroma is actually a Taiwan company, and we know that Taiwan is actually one of the largest market for semiconductor, right? So I would say that Chroma pretty much dominate the Taiwan market. Then the Japan market again is by Evertest. Okay, then of course, yeah. So AEM is something that is new and it's a Singapore company. So I think we should be proud of AEM, okay, representing Singapore and fighting with all these giants. Okay, but again, okay, this is what the executive chairman, Mr. Lok Wai San, actually mentioned. He said that if we can deliver complex chip solution for the big boys, it almost instantly qualify us for other customer. He added, if you can climb Mount Everest, you won't have a problem scaling Bukit Timah Hill. And once again, okay, in the first sentence, he mentioned that if we can deliver complex chip solution for the big boys. So who is this big boy? Okay, again, this big boy, it is the key customer of the company. So what he is saying is that, right, if let's say today this particular guy, it is my customer. So basically it tells you how good I am. Even though my company may be smaller than my competitor, but if this big boy is my customer, it shows that my quality is that top-notch level. All right, so I think by now you're still wondering who is the who is the key customer. Okay, Rachel is making a guess. Start with I. Okay, yep. So Rachel probably got the correct answer. Okay, but I don't want to tell you first lah. Y'all can make a guess. Okay, next we look at the growth factor of this particular company. Okay, so you can see that the revenue of this company has been growing 2017, 2018, 2019. It has been growing year after year. And actually 2020, this company gave a guidance of 430 million to 445 million. Okay, so again, this guidance, it is not just, a projection. Okay, it's not anyhow say lah. But pretty much why they are able to come up with this guidance is because they have kind of already received the receivable. Okay, they kind of already received the sales lah, to confirm around that figure. Yeah. So you can see that, just again by this key customer, the key customer again, it is contributing a huge chunk of this 400 over million revenue, right? So naturally, you can look at the profit before tax is definitely going to be increased as well. So if we just based on this revenue growth, right, that the management is projecting, it is actually a gain of 33%. Okay, 33%. Okay, very interesting. Wow, you already put in a lot of answer. Okay, then of course, right, okay, this is something that is also given by the company. They also share with us, 2020 as well as 2021, what are some of the potential growth in terms of the business. So let's focus on the two arrow. Okay, the first arrow is actually the next generation hybrid solution. Okay, and I think this is also something that the key customer is interested in. Okay, so once this next generation hybrid solution is in, it might actually leads to even higher growth for this particular company. And once again, like what what's the name of the executive chairman actually did mention, if this big boy starting with the letter I okay, is purchasing the next generation hybrid solution, what is stopping the other big boys in the players, or rather not so big from buying this particular solution also? So that is the kind of growth or potential that we will be looking at. Then of course at the bottom we look at the testing side, the sale growth for 5G infrastructure. Like I said, we know that 5G is growing very, very fast lah. Okay, and even in Singapore, I think the 5G is starting to, the infrastructure is actually starting out by the three major telco in Singapore. So that I would say is also a business side with high growth for this particular company. So that is where they are also growing into lah. Okay. Okay, next up we look at the risk. So yeah, this is the answer. Okay, no, answer is not out yet. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, the revenue from one customer of the group ESS segment represents approximately 300 million. Okay, almost 85% of the total trade receivables is just coming from one customer. So who is the key customer? Yep, you guys are actually absolutely correct. The answer is Intel. Okay, the answer is Intel. So Intel has been actually purchasing quite a lot of the system from AEM. All right, and of course, I think you also know that Intel recently has been whacked because of the delay in the 7 nanometer, okay, chip. Okay, so this is what is actually mentioned also. The US technology giant is facing its own set of troubles, with Apple planning to build in-house processor for Mac and competition increasing for chip technologies from the likes of Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing. Right, I think definitely everybody is aware that Intel is actually facing some challenges. But having said that, right, would that actually affect AEM? Okay, maybe we can discuss this further. So this is what Mr. Lok Wai San actually mentioned. Okay, while AEM acknowledges the risk of deriving the bulk of its sales from one key customer, it has also highlighted that this supplier-client relationship is into its 19th year, which means that AEM has been working with Intel for 19 years, and there must also, like what Mr. Lok has mentioned, there must be a reason why Intel is actually consistently working with AEM. There must be something that they are offering that is actually helping Intel lah. And based on what I have researched on, okay, is that the customized system that AEM actually created for Intel is able to actually help Intel to reduce cost, okay, of manufacturing their own chips, right? So it's actually quite a huge cost reduction that it doesn't make sense for Intel to actually change to other system provider, because AEM has actually been doing a great job for them. But of course, we also know that the problem with Intel is actually more on the technology side lah. So that will be a lot of uncertainty when it comes to Intel. But having said that, I would say that end of the day, when we look at Intel as a business, right, okay, you can see that the share price has dropped recently. But if you look at the revenue of Intel, you can see that the business of Intel, it is actually still growing. They are actually still producing a lot of chips. It's just that maybe their competitive edge in terms of their most high-tech technology, seems like it is actually losing out to another company called AMD. Okay. However, in terms of the demand, in terms of the production, they are actually still scaling up. Intel is actually still scaling up. That means the demand for their maybe 10 nanometer or other higher nanometer is actually still pretty high. All right, which means that AEM actually, because they are actually more of the, they are in the part of the whole process lah. Okay, so they might not be involved in the most high-tech product of Intel. Okay, but that means that the demand will still be pretty strong lah, I would say that. I don't think that whatever is happening to Intel would have a huge impact on AEM. All right, that's my personal take lah. And next up, we want to look at the opportunity as well. So according to the research conducted by this VLSI research, the total addressable market for SLT, okay, system level test, okay, is expected to grow at a rate of 21.6%. So this is actually quite a huge market that, okay, AEM is actually in. And next up, you can see that in March 2020, AEM actually became a member of this semi-Taiwan testing committee. And being welcome as a member of this semi-Taiwan testing community is an endorsement of AEM industry leading position, okay, by the most recognized industry association in one of the largest semiconductor testing market in the world. So I would say that this is also something as a good branding, okay, for AEM to be on the big stage lah. All right. So again, while they are on the big stage, I think there will be more and more customers that will actually, look into AEM as a potential supplier as well for the system. And I think new acquisition as well. So this, I think I have also mentioned before, in March 2020, they actually acquired this French company called Test. All right. So again, this acquisition will enable AEM to combine both handling and testing capabilities to cater to the diverse need of customers in the semiconductor and electronic industries. So this is also in the SLT business segment. So this is also like a segment that is growing, okay, and actually AEM is focusing more areas into this as well. And of course, recently, this I think was only about 1 or 2 weeks back only. Okay, so AEM actually acquired this particular company called DB Design Group. All right, this is a US company. This is a US based company, okay, that actually focus on test handler, test related accessories, etc., etc. So the amount that they actually bought is actually $3.3 million. Right. So once again, actually, when we look into this kind of news, it kind of show that the company is actually still growing. What they are doing is they are actually doing a lot of acquisition. Okay. And I think partly for the whole acquisition is also to actually capture the customer base, because this US company, okay, they actually have been working with quite a number of US based company. So by actually buying over them, it actually kind of promote AEM to all these customer as well, right? So I think recently, because of this particular news, the share price of AEM actually shot up quite significantly as well. So you can actually check out more lah. All right. And I think this is also something new, that there's a new management, there's a new CEO, and this particular CEO, Mr. Chandran Nair, you can see that he's actually more of a tech background. Like he actually has quite a number of tech background, and he's actually having a degree in physics, mathematics, and chemistry, okay, and a master degree in mathematics. So he's not so much of like a businessman, but rather he's probably good at, what he is doing in terms of the R&D area. So I think that is also what this company is focusing on. They are actually focusing on creating something, so much so that, as you can see, Intel is already their customer, and there must be a reason why Intel actually continued to work with them for the past 19 years. So what they want to do is they want to continue to upgrade their R&D, so much so that they can actually be one of the best in terms of the semiconductor testing system, right? So we can see that they're actually moving towards that area, okay, to actually build up their niche. And let's look at this financial fitness of this particular company. So we are going to focus on these few areas whereby the revenue must be growing, earnings per share must be positive, free cash flow must be growing, ROE above 15%, net margin more than 10%, interest coverage more than 5, and PE less than 12. So very quickly, okay, we can see that revenue is definitely growing, okay, definitely growing by quite significant amount, especially over the last few years. Earnings per share over the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years, you can see is also amazing. Okay, partly because of the growth in the semiconductor overall outlook, and of course with 5G, and I think Intel is also giving them quite a lot of business as well. And we can see that because of that, the cash flow has been pretty healthy as well. Next up, we look at ROE. So once again, okay, looking at, you can see the past few years, it has been pretty high, okay, at almost 47%, right? So this company is actually pretty efficient. The net margin is also very high at almost 16%. All right. And the interest coverage is very good because this company has almost 100 million cash and zero debt. Okay. This is a company with 100 over million cash and zero debt. And that is why they are also in a good, position to actually acquire more businesses. And so right now, based on the PE ratio, okay, I would say that we want to look for P ratio less than 12, but the current P ratio is actually on the high side, okay, because I think a lot of Singaporeans actually jump in because of the high growth. So the current P ratio is 18.42. However, if we actually look at the forward P ratio, that means looking at the next year earnings, okay, to calculate our P ratio, it gives us a forward P ratio of 11.71. So I would say that in this particular area, you can put it as a pass, you can also put it as a fail, depending on your personal take on this particular business. If you believe that, you know, the forward forecast is actually going to be good, okay, based on the projection, okay, then based on the forward PE ratio, I would say that right now it's still at a pretty fair value. But if you actually just based on current earnings and the current price, then it's definitely going to be overvalued. Okay, but again, just to remind you is that last year, okay, this particular company actually increased their guidance 3 times. Okay, which means that, let me give you a scenario, which means that right now, right, they actually projected 430 million. But what happened is that, okay, based on last year, Intel has been increasing the demand. That means they suddenly say, hey, I got maybe another 50 million worth of order that I'm giving you. Then after that, they put in another 50 million. So they keep on increasing. And as a result, this company, when they receive more and more of these sales, they will also increase their guidance. So hopefully, okay, hopefully Intel will continue to grow. And I think other than betting on Intel, because right now, as we mentioned, that they're actually in this semi-Taiwan committee, so that would also expose them to more customer as well. And it also build them as an authority in the semi-testing area. And of course, like what the executive chairman did mention, if today Intel, it is my customer, you know, what is actually stopping the rest of the players, which might not be even as big as Intel, to actually use my product? Because if I show that my product are good enough to serve, you know, one of the biggest chip company in the world, you know, what is stopping you guys, which is relatively second tier or third tier, from using my product as well? So hopefully that would also bring, you know, more diverse customers into AEM as well. And so with that, just to do a summary on the financial, we can see that pretty much everything is good. Okay, and of course for the last one, I just put it as depends. Okay, depends. Yeah. So overall, just to conclude, okay, I would say that the good point for this company is that it has a strong receivables for full year 2020. Like I said, the projection is really based on 430 million, and it's actually based on sales that is actually incoming. Okay. And the next one is the increased recognition as a member of the semi-Taiwan testing committee could bring the company actually new customers growth. And of course, the last one is that right now this company has very strong cash balance, zero borrowing, and high margin business. So it puts AEM in a strong financial position to actually grow and thrive. So these are the 3 good points about this business. And let's talk about the 3 not so good. Okay, starting with the first one, I think we can all agree that there is a key customer risk. Because of certain reason, let's say because of certain reason, Intel decided to drop 20% or 30% of the business. Immediately, you can see that the revenue of this company is going to be highly affected by that amount, right? And of course, if Intel decided to change a brand new player, okay, then I would say that this company is pretty much game over. So that is the key customer risk. And next up, okay, of course, we look at COVID-19 as well as the trade war between US and China. Again, it could impact the supply chain and affect business and create more uncertainty. However, as of now, you know, the management actually say that the impact is not that big. Okay, the impact is not that big. And of course, the last one is that we all know that semiconductor, there's actually a cyclical demand. So for example, right now we could be seeing a huge rise in the semiconductor industry. So everything is going up, but you know, 2 or 3 years down the road, there will be a decline. All right, because there is all this cyclical cycle for the semiconductor industry. So again, you know, that will reflect onto this company as well. That means this also become a cyclical company because it gets a lot of business from all these big players out there. So yeah, these are the 3 not so good point about this particular company. And so today I actually added something new. Okay, I added something new. So I also share with you actually based on the broker, what is their decision. So the broker actually, you can see on the 1st July, Samantha Chu, I don't know from which company, DBS, okay, actually upgraded AEM to buy and expect the share price to hit record high. And very recently, only July 24th, okay, Kayla Wang from KGI, okay, increases the target price for AEM holdings on increased international recognition. Okay, the increased international recognition is actually the semi-Taiwan committee. All right. So yeah, these are some pretty good broker calls, okay, to ask you to buy. But at the same time, I also want to share with you the not so good one. So if you look at the recent insider transaction, right? Okay, I just took about the last 10 transaction. You can see that there's a lot of insider selling, okay, from UBS Asset Management, Standard Life Aberdeen, Morgan Stanley, ACT Holdings, and even, okay, even if you look at the 16 May, even the executive chairman, he himself, he sold 1.2 million worth of this particular company. Okay, even the executive chairman sold 1.2 million worth of AEM as well. And yeah, this is of course a not so good point when you see so many big players selling, you know, who are buying. Basically the retail investors are buying, but the institutional investor are actually selling, right? But of course, I still also want to show you all is that although he sold 1.2 million, but this guy, Mr. Lok Wai San, he still owned 23.5 million worth of shares. So yeah, I mean, when he sell, of course, it's not so good, but there are many reasons why people want to sell. Maybe he's buying a new bungalow for his son. Maybe he's buying a new condo. Maybe he's buying a new Ferrari, you know, for all we know. So yeah, at least we all know that he still owns 23.5 million worth of share, which is still a pretty significant amount. All right. So I want to hear from all of you, whether do you think this is going to be a buy BUY or is this going to be a buy BYE? If this is going to be a green color BUY, can you just put in BUY? And at the same time, can you just help me to hit the love button? All right. And if let's say this is a BYE, can you just type in BYE and help me to key in the angry button? Angry button. Okay, not angry about me, but just to indicate that it is a BYE. So very, very interesting. Let's see. What do you guys think? Whether is this going to be a BYE or is this going to be a BUY? Yeah, help me to smash the heart button as well as the angry button as well. Right. I mean, from my personal view, right, I do see that yes, Intel is definitely one of the key customer risks. But what happened is that based on the very, very, very recent update from the company, is that they are still receiving very, very strong orders from Intel. So like what I mentioned, although yes, Intel is facing their certain issue, but the whole industry as a whole, it is still growing like crazy. Okay, so you know, if let's say Intel is facing trouble, immediately I would say that base AEM would be pretty much one of the earliest to find out, because the moment Intel actually reduce you know, some of the orders to AEM, okay, then that would slowly reflect onto Intel business. But as of now, we can see that Intel is still ramming up, you know, this particular segment. It is still increasing. All right. And of course, what is stopping other big players out there, like for example, Qualcomm? What if today Qualcomm decided and say, hey, AEM, I want to work with you as well? Okay, what do you think will happen to the share price of AEM? Okay, y'all can make the decision. But for me, I find that, yeah, this is a company that is fundamentally pretty strong. Financially, it is also in the right area of growth. And I don't see Intel actually dropping them as of now. I believe that in fact Intel is actually will actually want to work closer with AEM to improve the efficiency of the chips as well, to make it cheaper, to make it more efficient. And yeah, I do see that, you know, as AEM increases their technology in this particular area, if they can, like what the executive chairman mentioned, if they can serve Intel, what is stopping other players from also using AEM? So I believe that especially with the recent recognition by the Semi-Taiwan Committee, I think it is putting this company into the big stage out there. You know, so when that happens, when more of the big players, you know, start to see AEM as a alternative to the other competitor, okay, you can see that the competitor are all quite big one. So, you know, just by taking some of the business from the big players out there and giving it to AEM, the share price of AEM has a huge potential to grow. You know, but having said that, I think it's very important for us to do our you know, portfolio sizing. Okay, please do not sell your house and put everything into AEM. Hopefully it will double. Okay, please don't do that. Okay, I think it is okay for you to just like put a small segment of your money and invest into this company. So with that, I'm sure you all know what is oops, I think I didn't set the setting, but anyway, for me, this is going to be a BUY. Can you put in BUY? Okay, BUY, this is a buy for me. This is a buy for me. Yeah, let me see some of the questions that you guys actually have. But before that, okay, again, for those of you who have not joined our Telegram, please do join our Telegram, okay, at t.me/ultimateinvestorsg. And of course, if let's say today you want the PDF of this particular presentation slides, okay, do help us to share this particular video out. Okay, so for those of you who actually shared, we will actually send you the PDF copy of this particular presentation. And now let me just answer some of the questions that you guys actually have. So why institutions are selling? Okay, there are many reasons why institutions are buying or selling, but I would say that institutions, I would say that the share price of this has actually went up quite significantly. Like I said, you know, last year the share price is probably about $1.50 or $2, but right now it went up about $3.50. So it could also be a portfolio rebalancing for the institution, okay, because I think 100% growth in such a short period of time is pretty good for them. So they could be doing some portfolio management or rebalancing. And okay, from Jimmy, how is the competition from the other players? Will it be taken over by other global players? It is possible as well. Like I said, they could also be acquired by, you know, some of the bigger players out there. I mean, they could also be acquired lah. But again, if they are being acquired, usually it also turns out to be a good thing for us, because, you know, usually the acquired price will be slightly higher than your buy price. And of course, like I said, I think they definitely there must be something that they have done right with Intel. Okay, and that is why Intel has been actually with them for 19 years, right? And we know that Intel is actually pretty much one of the big players out there in terms of this particular area. So will they be taken over? I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, I believe that they are actually building up their own unique selling point. Okay, building up their own niche in terms of the technology in testing. So, yep. With that, any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. Okay, but of course, I think we also want to find out more about Intel versus AMD. Okay, again, I think today we actually managed to talk about Intel, and we all know what is happening with Intel. So, okay, of course, let me just do a seeding for this coming Sunday. So this coming Sunday, we are going to talk about Intel, and we are going to talk about AMD as well. Okay, so Sunday 2 p.m. we're going to talk about Intel and AMD. So if you want to find out about the future forecast, the prospect of Intel and AMD, as well as the whole industry on its own, do join us this coming Sunday, okay, at 2 p.m. and then you would actually know whether Intel is it dying or is it still growing. All right. So with that, okay, I think I'm going to end off this particular buy or buy. I think there's no question. Okay, so yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. Okay, and of course, most importantly is to have okay, enjoy your weekend. Okay, then of course invest safely, and yeah, I I think that's all from me. So stay safe, invest safe, and I'll see you guys on Sunday for my next buy or buy series. So bye-bye for now.